From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. returned to Manila Friday evening, reporting that his 4-day state visit to Japan yielded $3.4 billion in fresh investment pledges, reinforcing the Philippines' push to position itself as a rising investment hub in Asia. Speaking to reporters in Tokyo before departure, the president described the visit as highly productive, highlighting engagements with top Japanese officials and business leaders that advanced both strategic and economic cooperation. President Marcos said his talks with Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi were very fruitful, covering the start of negotiations on military information sharing, maritime boundary delimitation, and reaffirming both nations' commitment to international law, freedom of navigation, and regional stability, particularly in the South China Sea. The chief executive noted that cooperation between Manila and Tokyo now spans traditional security and economic areas, as well as emerging sectors such as energy security, supply chain resilience, decarbonization, artificial intelligence, and space cooperation. The visit also produced several signed agreements, including a deal to avoid double taxation and new cooperation frameworks in agriculture, fisheries, health services, and human resource development. Japanese companies likewise signaled 56.3 billion pesos in additional expansion plans across semiconductors, advanced electronics, precision manufacturing, and shipbuilding, projects expected to generate around 10,300 jobs. President Marcos said major Japanese firms, including Furukawa Electric, Sumitomo Electric, Minebeya Mitsumi, and Tsuneshi Group, continue to express strong confidence in the Philippine economy. He also pitched the Philippines as a strategic investment location, emphasizing its proximity to major Asian capitals. President Marcos thanked Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako for their warm reception and met with members of the Filipino community in Japan, now estimated at 33,000, commending their contributions to both nations. The Philippine president assured overseas Filipinos that their welfare remains a top priority of his administration.
The First Lady and I, together with the Philippine delegation, composed of government officials and business leaders, are pleased to have had this very important trip to Japan as a state visit, to visit with the Emperor and the government officials of Japan. It has been a very constructive and highly productive visit. It is particularly meaningful for us to have come at this time as we are marking the 70th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations with Japan this year. It was an opportune moment not only to reflect on 7 decades of friendship, but more importantly, to chart the future of our partnership. I had the honor of an imperial audience with Her Majesty's Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako. Our meeting reaffirmed the enduring friendship and goodwill between the Filipino and Japanese people. I also had very fruitful meetings with Prime Minister Takaichi Sanai. Bound by shared values and common aspirations, we agreed to elevate our relationship from a strengthened strategic partnership to a comprehensive strategic partnership. This reflects how our cooperation has grown not only stronger, but deeper and broader, not only across the traditional areas of security, maritime and defense cooperation, trade and investment, but also across new frontiers critical to our future, such as energy security, supply chain resilience, decarbonization, artificial intelligence, and space cooperation. It sets the stage for ensuring that our productive partnership is fit for the future and will redound to even more meaningful benefits for our two countries and our two peoples. Prime Minister Takaichi and I also exchanged views on pressing regional and global issues, including developments in the South China Sea and as well in the Middle East and the latter's impact on energy security. We reaffirmed our shared commitment to ASEAN unity and centrality as I conveyed the Philippines' priorities of the ASEAN Chair this year. During the visit, the governments of the Philippines and Japan signed a new agreement on the avoidance of double taxation, which will enhance the business environment, encourage greater investments. We also signed agreements on agriculture and fisheries, improving equitable access to quality health services and human resource development. Our two countries will explore further cooperation in space development and application, AI, and energy security supply chain resilience. In addition, Prime Minister Takaichi and I formally announced the commencement of negotiations for a General Security of Military Information Agreement, or GSOMIA, and for maritime boundary delimitation. These initiatives will support our shared goals of security, economic growth, and resilience. Through a newly developed strategic engagement format, an unprecedented gathering of Japan's most influential business leaders was convened across the fields of banking, infrastructure, aviation, manufacturing, telecommunications, mobility, e-mobility, renewable energy, healthcare and wellness, AI, fintech, digital technology, retail, finance, and tourism. During those meetings, we secured $3.4 billion in combined investment pledges, pipeline opportunities, financial support facilities, and tourism-enabling flagship investment prospects. These investments are expected to create around 10,300 additional direct and indirect jobs for Filipinos. These engagements reaffirm strong confidence in the Philippine economy and opened new opportunities for investments that will benefit our people.
Was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Vietnamese President To Lam arrived in Manila on Sunday for a two-day state visit aimed at further strengthening Philippines-Vietnam ties ahead of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations this July. President To Lam and his wife, Madame Ngo Phuong Ly, landed at Villamor Air Base in Pasay City at 12:40 in the afternoon, where they were welcomed with full arrival honors. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. received the Vietnamese leader on behalf of the Philippine government. Malacañang earlier underscored the visit's special significance, noting that it coincides with 5 decades of diplomatic relations and 10 years of strategic partnership between the two countries. It also marks the first state visit to the Philippines by a Vietnamese Communist Party leader. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will formally welcome To Lam in Malacañang on Monday before holding bilateral talks expected to focus on trade and investment, food security, defense and maritime cooperation, education, tourism and people-to-people exchanges. Vietnam remains the Philippines' sole strategic partner in Southeast Asia and a key player in regional economic and security cooperation. The visit follows recent discussions between President Marcos and Vietnamese Prime Minister Lee Min Hong at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Summit, where both sides agreed to establish a long-term rice trade mechanism to ensure stable supply and bolster food security. Vietnam is one of the Philippines' largest rice suppliers, playing a crucial role in stabilizing domestic prices. Both countries have also expanded cooperation against transnational crimes, including online scam operations and human trafficking, while pushing for deeper tourism and economic changes.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has declared 17 special non-working days across the country this June to allow local communities to celebrate founding anniversaries, charter days, and traditional festivities, Malacañang announced this Saturday. Under Proclamation 1268, June 1st was declared a special non-working day in Palapag, Northern Samar, for the celebration of Sumuroy Day. Proclamation 1273 designates June 3rd as a special non-working day in Ayungin, Negros Oriental Province, marking its 102nd township anniversary. In Bamban, Tarlac, June 5th is a special non-working day under Proclamation 1260 for the celebration of Bamban Day. Proclamation 1274 declares June 6 a special non-working day in Zamboanga del Norte for its 74th founding anniversary. On June 9th, Rosario in Batangas Province will observe a special non-working day through Proclamation 1275 for its founding anniversary. President Marcos also signed Proclamation 1261 declaring June 16th a special non-working day in Bogo City, Cebu in celebration of its charter anniversary. 3 areas will mark their founding anniversaries on June 17 under separate proclamations. In Quirino, Isabela, Proclamation 1262, Maco, Davao de Oro, Proclamation 1253, and Lapu-Lapu City under Proclamation 1276. 6 more localities will observe special non-working days on June 18 under Proclamations 1266, 1269, 1270, 1271, 1272, and 1277 for Ambaggio in Nueva Vizcaya Province, Kalilangan in Bukidnon, Carmen in Davao del Norte, Presentacion in Camarines Sur, Calintaan in Occidental Mindoro, and San Fernando in Bukidnon. Ambaggio will celebrate its founding anniversary, while Kalilangan and Carmen will mark their 60th and 65th founding anniversaries. Presentacion will celebrate its 65th charter anniversary, while Calintaan and San Fernando will observe their 60th founding anniversaries. On June 19th, Lawag City in Ilocos Norte Province will celebrate its charter anniversary under Proclamation 1278. Meanwhile, Proclamation 1279 declares June 24 a special non-working day in Tiaong, Quezon for the town fiesta. Malacañang said the proclamations aim to give residents full opportunity to participate in the occasion and enjoy the celebration. All proclamations were signed by Executive Secretary Ralph Recto by authority of the President.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, is firmly rejecting claims made by the Chinese Communist Party regarding alleged joint training activities by the China Coast Guard and the People's Liberation Army Navy in Bajo de Masinloc, well within the country's exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea, or WPS. AFP spokesperson for the WPS, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, said that while the military continues to monitor the presence of Chinese vessels in the area, these ships appear scattered and show no signs of organized movement. Trinidad stressed that the AFP has not observed any tactical maneuvers, joint formations, or coordinated actions that would indicate a military exercise taking place in the shoal. This comes after AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr. confirmed the existence of Chinese structures in Bajo de Masinloc. Speaking at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore alongside Defense Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr., Bronner said they raised the issue with other participating countries, many of whom expressed concern over China's activities.
Dateline Malacañang.
Defense Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. underscored the Philippines' strategic role in protecting maritime freedom, saying the country's archipelagic waters sit at the crossroads of major trade routes linking the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Speaking at the plenary session of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, Chodoro said, "This geographic position places on the Philippines a clear responsibility to uphold international law, including the United Nations Charter, the 1982 UNCLOS, or United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and the 2016 Arbitral Award, and to pursue peaceful dispute settlement through established UN mechanisms." He stressed that these systems are designed to be fair and transparent, aimed at resolving the root causes of disputes rather than glossing over contradictions. Under UNCLOS, he noted, the international community has already recognized the extent of the Philippines' sovereignty, rights, and entitlements. Chodoro also reaffirmed the Philippines' commitment to defending the autonomy of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, member states, and ensuring that Southeast Asia remains peaceful, stable, and free from the influence of any single hegemon, especially those with interests that run counter to the region's welfare. While acknowledging differences in views among ASEAN states, he said the bloc's strength lies in its diversity and its pursuit of genuine autonomy. As chair of the ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting and ADMM+, the Philippines will work to preserve internal cohesion and resist external attempts to speak on ASEAN's behalf. He added that Manila will continue working with countries that share its commitment to protecting rights under UNCLOS, standing as a strategic sentinel over its sovereign entitlements and as a guardian of freedom of the seas. Chodoro said this vision is already taking shape through the Philippines' expanding network of allies and partners. Manila has conducted maritime cooperative activities with the United States, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, and India, and remains open to other like-minded nations committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines and the United States reaffirmed their ironclad alliance following a high-level bilateral meeting between their top defense officials on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, the Department of National Defense or DND announced Sunday. Defense Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. met with U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth on May 30th as both nations mark the 75th anniversary of the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty or MDT, the cornerstone of their security partnership. According to the DND, Chodoro congratulated Hegseth on his plenary address and emphasized Manila's strong support for Washington's efforts to bolster partnerships across the Indo-Pacific. He noted that the Philippines has seen firsthand how robust U.S. engagement strengthens regional resilience and deterrence. Hegseth, for his part, highlighted that this meeting was already the fifth engagement between the two defense leaders, a sign of the depth and consistency of their cooperation. He also praised the recently concluded Balikatan exercises, calling this year's edition the largest ever and a clear demonstration of growing interoperability between the two militaries. The U.S. reaffirmed its commitment to help monitor the Philippines' exclusive economic zone and to continue supporting Manila's defense, modernization, and security priorities. The DND also announced that the Philippines and the U.S. renewed the Communications Interoperability and Security Memorandum of Agreement, or SISMOA, for another 15 years, a major step in strengthening information, communications, and cybersecurity cooperation. The renewal was carried out between the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, and the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. Chodoro likewise invited Hegseth to attend the upcoming Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, Defense Ministers Meeting Plus, describing it as an opportunity to deepen engagement not only with the Philippines but with regional defense counterparts. The meeting, the DND said, reaffirmed both nations' shared commitment to expanding defense cooperation in support of a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific.
Dateline Malacañang.
Moving on, Philippine National Police or PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. welcomed the results of the latest nationwide Boses ng Bayan Index of Governance survey, which ranked him among the country's highest-rated government officials. The RPMD Foundation survey, conducted from April 1st to the 8th, with 5,000 respondents, gave Nartates an overall governance score of 78.8%, including 78.5% in trust and 79.1% performance ratings. Nartates said the results reflect strong public approval of the PNP's peace and order initiatives and the reforms being pursued under the administration of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. The PNP chief said this is not a personal achievement but a reflection of the collective efforts of the Philippine National Police in serving the public with integrity and professionalism. He added that the survey underscores the PNP's responsibility to sustain public confidence as reform programs expand across local units and community engagement efforts intensify nationwide. Nartates said ongoing reforms will prioritize strengthened policing and stricter accountability mechanisms to reinforce credibility and public trust. He also directed PNP units to intensify barangay-level engagement and tighten internal disciplinary measures to translate survey gains into long-term institutional improvements.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, has formally concluded negotiations for the region's first comprehensive digital economy pact, the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, or DEFA, clearing the way for its signing in November. All remaining issues were settled during the second meeting of the 57th ASEAN Senior Economic Officials Meeting, or SEAM, held in Manila from May 27 to 29. Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, Bureau of International Trade Relations Director Mary Sherilyn Akia, who chairs the ASEAN SHOM, said, "This marks the successful conclusion of negotiations on ASEAN's first region-wide digital economy agreement and a major milestone toward a digitally integrated, secure, interoperable, competitive, and inclusive regional economy." Akia said DEFA is expected to play a transformative role in unlocking the full potential of the region's digital economy. ASEAN's digital market is currently projected to reach $1 trillion by 2030, but studies indicate the value could double to $2 trillion with DEFA in place. The agreement is seen to strengthen ASEAN's position as a global digital growth hub, attracting investments, creating jobs, supporting entrepreneurship, and expanding opportunities for businesses and communities across the region. ASEAN economic officials expect the DEFA signing to take place in November, alongside the 28th ASEAN Economic Community Council meeting and the 49th ASEAN Summit. DEFA covers a wide range of digital economy pillars, including digital trade, cross-border e-commerce, data governance and privacy, digital identity, electronic payments, online safety, cybersecurity cooperation, competition policy, artificial intelligence, and digital talent mobility. It builds on existing ASEAN digital integration initiatives such as the ASEAN Single Window, digital payments connectivity, cross-border data frameworks, online consumer protection, and the ASEAN Unique Business Identification Number. The agreement is expected to boost digital connectivity, enhance trust in online transactions, and reduce barriers to cross-border digital trade, creating a more seamless environment for businesses and consumers. Beyond trade facilitation, DEFA is designed to help narrow development gaps among member states and expand opportunities for micro, small, and medium enterprises. It is also expected to support the goals of ASEAN 2045, Our Shared Future, and the AEC Strategic Plan 2026 to 2030. ASEAN ministers emphasized that the full benefits of DEFA will depend on timely signing, effective implementation, and sustained cooperation among member states.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, or DSUD, is hailing the increase in the Pag-ibig Fund housing loan ceiling to 10 million pesos, calling it a major boost for the housing sector and a win for middle-income Filipinos seeking affordable homes under President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s expanded Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino, or 4PH program. In a statement Sunday, DSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said, the expanded loan limit is expected to drive stronger housing uptake in urban centers, particularly for condominium and residential units across Metro Manila and nearby growth areas, while helping reduce unsold inventory in the open market. Aliling emphasized that rising demand in housing triggers broad economic activity, generating jobs and business opportunities in construction, manufacturing, transport, retail, furniture, and other industries linked to housing development. He noted that the higher loan ceiling will allow more workers and professionals to secure homes closer to jobs, transport systems, and essential services, especially in areas where property values have surged in recent years. Aliling also urged developers to support the government's affordability push by offering more competitive, market-responsive housing packages for Pag-ibig members. Under the updated Pag-ibig housing loan program, qualified members may now borrow up to 10 million pesos payable for up to 30 years, subject to standard evaluation and capacity to pay requirements.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s flagship expanded Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino or 4PH program is gaining momentum in the Visayas with the rollout of 4 major housing projects in Bacolod and Iloilo, targeting informal settler families, farm workers, and members of the working class. DSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling led the 2-day series of activities, underscoring the administration's push to accelerate housing production through both rental and home ownership schemes under the expanded 4PH. In Victoria City, Negros Occidental Province, Aliling spearheaded the concrete pouring for Victoria's Residences, one of the program's pilot rental housing projects. Located in Barangay 19, the development will feature at least 4 5-story buildings and benefit more than 2,400 residents, primarily informal settlers and farm workers. In Bacolod City, Aliling also attended the ribbon cutting of Deca Homes Granada, a subdivision-type 4PH project offering hundreds of newly completed house and lot units now ready for turnover to low-income workers and government employees in the area. The DSUD chief also proceeded to Iloilo City to inspect 2 ongoing 4PH developments, the Iloilo Residences and the Aswag 4PH condominium complex in Haro. The Iloilo Residences in Barangay Sambag will have 2 7-story buildings with elevators and 362 units, along with community amenities such as multi-purpose hall, health center, park, playground, and basketball court. Meantime, the Aswag 4PH condominium complex in Barangay San Isidro, built on city-owned land, will consist of 13 10-story buildings with a total of 1,677 units, making it one of the largest 4PH developments in the region. Aliling said the rollout reflects the President's directive to deliver sustainable, inclusive, and people-centered housing solutions nationwide.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Department of Transportation, or DOTR, clarified Sunday that the Metro Rail Transit Line 7, or MRT7, will operate with 14 stations, including the San Jose del Monte, or SJDM terminal in Bulacan Province, contrary to reports that only 13 stations would proceed. In a statement, the DOTR stressed that the SJDM station remains part of the approved MRT7 alignment and has not been removed from the project. The agency said it is on track to begin operations of the first 12 stations from Sacred Heart to North Avenue by the second quarter of 2027. The remaining stations in Tala and San Jose del Monte are targeted to open in 2028. The full list of MRT-7 stations includes North EDSA, Quezon Memorial Circle, University Avenue, Tandang Sora, Don Antonio, Batasan, Mangahan, Doña Carmen, Regalado, Mindanao Avenue, Quirino, Sacred Heart, Tala, and San Jose del Monte. Once completed, MRT-7 is expected to significantly cut travel time between North Avenue in Quezon City and San Jose del Monte while helping ease heavy traffic along Commonwealth Avenue.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.